Okay, so let's talk about AI. We're going to try and reframe this whole conversation, which, let's be honest, can get pretty anxious. Instead of all the doom and gloom, we're going to explore a more grounded and, I think, a more useful way to look at our future with these incredibly powerful new tools.
Because right now it feels like everywhere you turn, the AI discussion is just, it's a lot. It's either this crazy hype about how it's going to solve everything, or this deep dread that it's the end of the world. It's pretty exhausting. And you kind of get the feeling we're missing the real story.
Which leads to a really important question. Are we even worried about the right things? I mean, yeah, the sci-fi scenarios are dramatic, for sure, but what if they're just a big distraction? What if the real risk isn't what some future AI will do to us, but what we might just quietly let it do for us?
To really get this, we have to shift our thinking a little bit. We need to look past the chatbots we're all playing with and start thinking about AI systems that can actually see, decide, and then act in the physical world around us. And there's this perfect example that popped up online recently. It's a fascinating experiment that showed an autonomous AI system successfully managing a small, living biodome. Now, this isn't about writing an email or a poem. This is about interacting with and literally sustaining a real physical environment. So here's how it works. The AI is constantly monitoring everything happening in the biodome. If it spots a problem, it diagnoses what's going on. Then, pretty cool, it runs its own tests to figure out a fix, adjusts things like light or water, and then optimizes for its one simple goal: keep the organism alive. It's this continuous, hands-off loop. And that right there, that shows you the huge shift that's happening. AI is becoming embodied, it's continuous, and it's starting to operate in the real world. Just imagine what this could mean for super complex fields like medicine or climate science. The potential is massive. But, it also brings up a whole new kind of challenge.
And that gets us to the absolute core of this whole thing. The real risk here isn't some robot uprising. It's something way more subtle and way more human. It's just our own excitement getting way, way ahead of our own good judgment.
We fall into this pattern every single time, don't we? You've seen it before. A powerful new tech emerges. We get super excited and imagine all the amazing things it could do. So naturally, we rush to scale it up as fast as possible. And it's only after something breaks that we go back and try to bolt on some governance. This reactive way of doing things, it's just not going to work for much longer. So yeah, the headlines are screaming about these big sci-fi fears. AI is going to replace us, it's going to outgrow us. But the quieter, more immediate risk is that we just check out. That as these systems get better and better, we start to disengage from making the hard calls, and our oversight becomes nothing more than a meaningless rubber stamp.
And this is just so crucial. Responsibility doesn't usually vanish in some big, dramatic takeover. It just slowly erodes because of comfort and convenience. We let the system handle it because, well, it's just easier, and then, little by little, we've handed over our own judgment without even realizing.
And this leads to something you could call ceremonial governance. On paper, there's a human in the loop. But think about it. If an AI is making the right call 99.9% of the time, that human approver eventually just starts clicking yes without really thinking. And that's a huge deal, because that one lazy click could be signing off on a medical diagnosis, a huge financial trade, or a city's power grid. The safeguard becomes a ritual, not a real check on power.
Okay, so what's the answer? It's not about slamming the brakes on AI. It's about designing a totally different kind of relationship. One that's built on purpose, on intentional codependence, where both the human and the machine are absolutely essential to get the job done.
So what does that actually look like? Well, in a model like this, we play to our strengths. Let the AI do its thing. Observe insane amounts of data, run millions of simulations, optimize for a goal. But the human role, it's still the most important one. We're the ones who define what good even means. We decide which risks are okay to take. And at the end of the day, we are the ones who have to be accountable. And this is a really, really important distinction to make. The human isn't just sitting at the end of the line to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. No, the human is there from the very beginning and all the way through, providing the values, the context, the meaning that an AI just can't. The AI can't decide what success looks like on its own. It needs us for that. So how do we build systems that work this way? Well, we can use some pretty smart design principles. We can build systems that don't just settle into a comfortable autopilot. They have to be periodically rejustified. They need to be smart enough to know when the world has changed, and they need new instructions. And this is key. They have to show us the tough trade-offs, not hide them behind one perfect optimized answer. all of this brings us to, I think, a much more empowering place to end up. This isn't about restricting technology because we're scared of it. It's about stepping up and taking our responsibility as designers and users and citizens to shape it with intention. This right here, this is the heart of it. The goal isn't to hit the brakes on innovation. The goal is to hold on to our own agency in this story. We have to be the ones who provide the purpose, the values, and the ending.
And that means we need to get serious about what governance actually is. It isn't just some ethics review before you launch something. It's about constantly stress testing these systems out in the real world. It means building in moments where a system has to earn its authority all over again. And yeah, it means actually budgeting for oversight, not just for development.
So let's just go back to that biodome for a second. Seeing what it can do shouldn't make us want to pull the plug. It should inspire us. It's a clear signal that AI is moving into parts of our lives that really, really matter, and that the choices we make today about how we design these things will define our future.
And that leaves us with a pretty hopeful thought, I think. The future isn't some scary thing that's going to happen to us. It's a story that's still being written, and we have the power, right now, to pick up the pen and decide how it's going to end.